down below.
Please, someone do that.
And someone justify it as well. Oh, essay.
I just want to see this massive list.
For today's topic, we are once again going to be discussing elements of IGN's truly ridiculous, in my opinions, top 100 video games of all time list.
Yeah, this is one that has really kind of riled us up. And I think we had probably a 2-hour conversation about this video before we shot it, knowing that this is going to be content.
Yes, we are passionate people, you see.
Yeah. So we're going to go through and look at some of the anomalous numbers and placements of certain games on that top 100 list. The ones that we think are the most ridiculous.
The controversial ones.
Yeah, because there are some that are absolutely ridiculous. Shall I start?
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one I want to get out of the way nice and quickly, because on the surface, this doesn't look like a ridiculous decision. So number 22 on IGN's top 100 list is Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. Obviously, Street Fighter 2 is one of the most important video games of all time. Rejuvenated the arcade industry. Served as the blueprint that all fighting games going forward past that point will be based off of. Yeah. It did a lot of cool things. Basically made the fighting game community. Yeah. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, that's up for debate. But jokes aside, 22 is quite a strong rank. 22 is pretty high. Yeah. So you can't really complain about that. But then when you look at some games they've ranked above it, is 22 that good then? Is really Hades... Is Hades a more important, better, more historical game than Street Fighter 2? Hades.
Yeah,
really?
Even taking the history out of it, Hades is a great game. I played it a lot, but it's not even close to Street Fighter. Not in terms of anything, surely.
Is it closer in terms of anything?
No.
Like importance, legacy, sales, quality, anything?
Maybe the one thing that might be better about Hades compared to Street Fighter 2 is going to be the fact that it probably looks slightly sharper. But you would expect that from games that were released almost 30 years apart.
Also, when did Hades come out exactly? Roughly?
Like last year before, something like that.
Again, that's stupid. It's not been out long enough to judge how important it is. We talked about this in the last video. Once again, ridiculous. How can you rank such a modern game in the 100 greatest games ever made list? There's no time to reflect back on it yet.
Yeah.
I think it's silly.
It's a silly placement. Okay, so that was kind of our base in.
Okay.
Now we're going to get to the really silly ones. Okay, so I'm going to pick one randomly off the list that I think is worth covering. Okay, we have at number 98, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, to me that's ranked completely wrong. I put Final Fantasy VII as one of the most important games ever made. It's ridiculously important. When it came out, it blew my mind. I can't say that I would feel the same about a lot of other games that come out today, the same way that I felt about Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. It brought, not only did it bring the whole JRPG genre into the next dimension, it introduced JRPGs to a large number of people as well. It's really,
especially
really
in
important.
Europe.
Yeah,
especially in Europe.
Yeah. But it made them mainstream elsewhere as well, where they wasn't prior.
Yeah, I mean, although the game doesn't quite feel as polished going back to it now, it is still very solid.
It still feels very polished. And my wife, Lady Decade, she has played like a ridiculous amount of JRPGs, and she played newer Final Fantasies before she played Final Fantasy VII, such as Final Fantasy X, for example.
10's amazing.
Yeah, but what she said is after playing Final Fantasy VII, she thought it was better than 10. Oh. And again, she thought it was one of the best JRPGs she's ever played. So that's proof that there's more to it than just people's nostalgia goggles, a theory that a lot of misinformed people like to try and put forward with regards to the game, which I don't agree with at all.
No. I mean, to say that it's better than 10, I mean, maybe she had a head injury at the time. Because 10 is possibly one of the greatest games. Yeah, it's supposed to be cringy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VII is a ridiculously important game. And when we come on to the next title that I'm going to talk about, you'll see how badly placed this is. So number 98 was Final Fantasy VII, but number 44 on the list was Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, it's interesting. You could probably make a good debate for Final Fantasy VI deserving a place in the top 100 games ever, I think. but I don't think it's close to as important as Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
It didn't sell as well. It wasn't as revolutionary. For a start, it was the third traditional Final Fantasy game on the Super Nintendo. So it didn't set...
Outside of Japan. Outside Japan?
No, in Japan it was the third.
Oh, okay.
In Japan it was the third, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the second in America, and none of them came out in Europe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, either way.
The timelines are fucking weird for the early Final Fantasy games.
They are, yeah. But yeah, Final Fantasy VI. It's a great game.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's anywhere close to as important as Final Fantasy VII.
I would be much happier if they were reversed.
Yeah, like most people haven't played Final Fantasy VI. It was as good as it is.
Yeah.
It was from the time period where JRPGs were still for nerds and not for everyone.
Yeah. Completely agree. If they were swapped, I'd be a lot happier than what they are. 6 is a great game.
Yeah.
Deserving of a top 100 spot.
But it's not as important as Final Fantasy VII. Not close. Not
no
even
way.
close.
What's even more ridiculous, staying on the Final Fantasy route...
This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. So number 30 on that list. Bearing in mind, Final Fantasy VII, 98. Final Fantasy VI is 44. Number 30. Right? This was Final Fantasy X. I'd be happy with it. But Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
Fucking Final Fantasy fucking 14.
It's not even a JRPG, is it? It's an MMO.
It's horrendous.
I've not really played it, but why would I? It's an MMO. It's not a proper Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I mean, MMOs are good. They can be good. Not all of them are good. They can be good. Is that one of the best MMOs ever made? To
be fair, I do know some people who are obsessed with Final Fantasy XIV, so there must be some truth to its quality, but we're talking about the top 100 greatest games of all time. Final Fantasy XIV has not made the same impact as Final Fantasy VII. That's a laughable statement. It sounds like trolling.
Yeah.
It's like if I said to you, The Phantom Menace is a better film than The Empire Strikes Back. It's that sort of ridiculous statement, isn't it?
Oh, you're finally admitting that.
I've never said that.
I'm keeping that
I said The Phantom Menace is great, but I've never said it's better than The Empire Strikes Back.
I am keeping that for TikTok.
Yeah, I have never said that.
That's what's happening. It's ridiculous to be putting 14 that high above 6 and 7 is just...
It's insulting to the franchise's legacy as a whole, in my opinion.
100%. Another one that's worth talking about, going away from Final Fantasy now, because I think we're done with that. Tetris was number 28.
Yeah, because personally I think Tetris is one of the most important, most addictive games ever made, and it deserves to be way higher than 28. Now, once again, how can you say Hades is 3 times as good as Tetris?
Yeah.
What the fuck do they smoke at IGN to make such a ridiculous claim?
Tetris is the best... I don't want to get fact-checked on this. It's either that or Minecraft Zone, but the most games ever sold, the most copies ever sold, Tetris is 1 or 2. It's up there.
I don't know, because we're going to that. That's confusing. But
So
yeah,
ridiculous.
do you reckon it's because Tetris is Russian? Is that IGN trying to erase Tetris from history?
Are you going... I think this was probably made before this happened.
It was.
Yeah. But maybe they just don't like Russia anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. But yeah, that's a ridiculous place to have that on the list. Number 21 on the top 100 games of all time, according to IGN, was the original Super Mario Bros.
Yeah. Again, 21's got a respectable ranking, but I feel that deserves to be a top 5 game.
Yep.
It basically single-handedly acted as the blueprint to the side-scrolling platforming genre that led to a game console renaissance in North America. So, without that... What are you laughing at that for? What's funny about that?
Because you had to add the North America.
Well, yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's very important.
It is important.
It's just the way I could see it going. I could almost see the words coming out of your mouth before you said them. It was amazing. Sorry, carry on.
What, as in, apparently Super Mario Brothers stopped at the North American Atari regional video game crash.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I almost saw that happen. But yeah, I mean, Mario Bros is an amazing game. Again, it's still played today. Still streamed today.
And just whilst we're talking about Mario Brothers, you can't place Super Mario Brothers at number 21 and then place Mario fucking 64 at number 7.
No.
That's a joke. Because, like I said, Mario 64 has aged like milk.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers for the NES is just as fun today as it was on release.
Yeah.
It plays just as smoothly.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's a stupid list.
It's a really stupid list.
Okay, so we've covered like 3 in a row here. So Street Fighter 2 was 22. Mario Brothers was 21. Number 20 on the list was Undertale. Okay, now, this is ridiculous because to say that Undertale is better than the 2 games that came immediately previous to it on the list is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, it's a wonderful game. Yes, their fans are very angry.
The fans are ridiculous, horrible people.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be allowed online.
Yeah, no, they're terrible. We did a stream, an Undertale stream once, didn't we? And we were like, Undertale's meant to be a really, really good game. I heard the fans are a bit weird, but we'll give it a go anyway. Yeah. We started playing it on Twitch, and what happened, Rich?
A load of virgins who I assume live in basements all came along and then tried to tell us how to play it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah. We were just getting inundated with consistent and constant messages from virgins saying, "You're playing it wrong. Are you doing a pacifist run? Why aren't you doing a pacifist run?" It's like, because this is the first time I've ever played the game before. We're trying to experience the game and figure out what it's all about. But you should be doing a pacifist run. That's the only way to play the game. Then somebody else should argue with them and then us, having a go at us while we're not killing everything.
Well, at least this makes it topical, I guess. But again, to say that Undertale is a better game than Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, and just for to add extra, this list definitely also had, I noticed on it, Earthbound, I think like 50, Chrono Trigger, and something like 24. And to say that Earthbound, Undertale, an indie game, was better than all of those legendary JRPGs. Again, it's just insulting.
It's ludicrous.
It's stupid.
I mean, I take.
It's a short little game that takes about 6 or 7 hours to beat.
Yeah,
because it was made by one man. It's cool for a one-man effort, but beyond that, no.
I'm glad you added that because I was taking exception to the fact that you said an indie game. Indie games can be amazing. They can be.
And it is an amazing game, but to say it's better than those other games,
like Goliath.
It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
Yeah. It is ridiculous. How many more have we got to do? There's not many. Number 92. So going back down the list? Down.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Going back down the list, number 92 was Mega Man 3. And I know you wanted to put this on for a massive, massive reason.
Yeah, I've played through most of the Mega Man games, most of the Mega Man X
Almost
games.
all of them, actually.
Yeah, I think Mega Man 2 is the best Mega Man game, personally. Probably the most iconic and has the most legacy, which is what you'd probably expect from a top 100 list.
Greatest list.
But the Mega Man X games, at least the first 6 of them, in my opinion, piss all over the Mega Man NES games. Because they were made for the Super Nintendo and they were pretty much the original games, but everything about them was improved. Kind of like if you have the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, then you had Link to the Past. Mega Man X was the same as that, the equivalent to the Mega Man series. Everything was souped up and made much, much better. So Mega Man X, for me, is by far the greatest Mega Man game. I'll put that in my top 10 of all games of all time.
Yeah.
So, but there's no Mega Man X games on the list. So again, it makes you wonder if whoever wrote this list has even played many classic games, because there's a lot of games on there which can't be classic because they've only been out 2 or 3 years. It's ridiculous.
It is a bit strange. It doesn't make any sense. But
maybe we need to find out who actually wrote it and do some research. Maybe they're like 19 or something.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Maybe we can send them an email and try and get an interview. We'll use your clout from your channel and see what happens. Okay, so another ridiculous one to put on there. Okay, so if you watched the previous video, you know that Breath of the Wild came number 1 on this list. And A Link to the Past came number 4 on this list. And all the way down, at number 34, was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Again, absolutely ridiculous, especially when we consider, what is IGN? What are they supposed to be? You tell me.
What are they supposed to be? What are they?
No, what are they supposed to be? What do you think IGN are?
Independent video game journalists that.
What do they primarily do then? What do they primarily do on their website?
Rate games.
Yeah. If you go on Metacritic and you look at the greatest games of all time list, which ones were scored the highest, Ocarina of Time could perhaps be the greatest scored game ever. It's consistently rated high.
Have you fact checked this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's consistently rated as one of the highest games of all time for what it's done. Link to the Past is great. Breath of the Wild is okay, but neither of them done what Ocarina of Time did. It wasn't even close.
No. Even if you include the Water Temple, which I know these are.
I love the Water Temple. I love the Water Temple,
but lots of people don't. But even if you keep that in, even the people that hate it will go, if it's only the Water Temple, doesn't matter. Like, everything else about it is absolutely incredible. Even the fact that Majora's Mask isn't on there and Ocarina is ridiculous. Majora's Mask was not on this list.
You're right, actually. But I'm not a big fan of Majora as much, but I would put Ocarina leagues above Link to the Past and Breath of the Wild in terms of both quality and legacy.
Yeah.
It's the more important game.
Yeah, I mean, I do quite
If you're going to put Mario 64 as 7, it's insulting to put Ocarina of Time at 34 because Ocarina of Time has aged better and it's equal in terms of historical significance.
Yeah.
As in, like, I think they're the two most important games on the Nintendo 64.
They're also, I mean, Ocarina and Lady Majora's Mask is very, very close as far as quality. The fact they're both not on that list is ridiculous. If you're going to rate one really highly, you've got to rate another one pretty close to it. Do you know what I mean? So I don't understand that. It's just very, very odd.
And I think the only one we've yet to discuss is number 68 on the list, which is...
Unless you look at... Oh, yeah, sorry, that was behind the microphone, so I didn't actually see it. Yeah. I wouldn't have got that one at all. It's right behind the microphone, our little list that's behind the camera, just to make sure we hit all of our points. Number 68 on the list is Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, again, there's nothing really wrong with that game.
It's a great
Actually,
game.
there is some stuff wrong with that game, but that's besides the point. I think its ranking's okayish. It's really annoying if you lose the baby and the baby starts crying. It's like really, really great the noise it makes. I'm not even going to try and make it because it's too annoying.
I might add some in if I can find it.
It's a horrible, horrible noise. But how can you put Yoshi's Island on the list but no Donkey Kong Country games? The Donkey Kong Country games sold significantly better than Yoshi's Island. It got better reception at the time as well. And if we're just talking about Mario games only, why the fuck aren't the Mario Galaxy games anywhere on the list?
Yeah,
they are the greatest 3D Mario games of all time. They're much, much better than Mario 64.
Yeah.
And again, they're better in terms of significance and legacy than Yoshi's Island. What the fuck?
Yoshi's Island is a fantastic game. It's got a massive fan base behind it. Lots of people really, really like it.
Not as many people who love Mario Galaxy, though. There's not.
Yeah, you might be right.
Ridiculous.
You might be right. It's insane. The list doesn't make any sense, and this is why we're angry about it. We wanted to tell you why we're so angry about
Maybe
this.
in a future episode, we need to spend a couple of hours where I explain to you my top 100 games. It's just super long, ridiculous.
Yeah, we do like a 4-hour-long episode.
We both do it and then justify it to each other.
Yeah. This is my list. I've decided this is what it's going to be. I've only done the first 5 so far. We're going to do the other 95% live.
Yeah, so if the person who published that IGN list, as they see this video, that's probably what they'd write in the comments. So why don't you just make your own top 100 list?
We will, maybe.
Yeah, we will. So I'll tell you what, if many of you at home haven't actually got lives, which is probably why you're watching us, why not write your own top 100 list in the comment section down below?
Please, someone do.
And someone justify it as well. Oh, essay.
I just want to see this massive list. Because we get some ridiculously long comments, but that'd be amazing. And maybe we'll rate your list and tell you why you're wrong specifically.
Yeah.
And if you've got over 10,000 subscribers, if you comment on our video, we'll see it anyway, and we'll definitely do it.
Yeah. You know what they say? You can't spell ignorant without IGN. Yeah. Cheerio.